We first met Isabel Caro, the anorexic woman who shocked the world by posing nude for an anti-fashion protest. We learned about her seemingly endless struggle with the disease and her determined effort to get healthy. Well, this morning, CBS News correspondent Sheila McVicker asks her, why did she become so tragically thin? How has she suffered? How is she healing? And what does she dream about?
When you meet Isabel Caro, what strikes you first is her frailty. She is so tiny that with a gust of wind, you can feel her sway. Last month, stripped bare, she was a shocking face of an Italian campaign against anorexia. This is not Isabel at her thinnest.
When you look at yourself in the mirror now, today, what do you see in the mirror?
A skeleton. I see a skeleton, but one on the road to recovery.
Isabel's anorexia began when she was 13. Her mother, she says, was seriously depressed. Her father, largely absent. She spent her childhood in isolation, homeschooled, and kept away from others.
Mon enfance a été très compliquée. I had a very complicated childhood, very difficult, very painful. My mother's big phobia was that I would grow. She spent her time measuring my height. She wouldn't let me go outside because she heard that fresh air makes children grow. And that's why I was kept at home. It was completely traumatic.
Trauma that crystallized into illness as she watched her mother struggle with a 70-pound gas canister.
She said, "Do you know how heavy this is?" I weighed 10 pounds more. And I kept thinking, I'm heavier than that heavy gas cylinder, so I am a burden on my mother. And that's when I thought about wanting to lose weight, to stop my growth.
And that's how it all began?
Yes.
You just stopped eating?
I dropped to about 58 pounds. I gradually stopped eating anything. My meal was reduced to 2 squares of chocolate and 5 cornflakes. That's all I ate all day.
4 or 5 cornflakes and 2 little tiny pieces of chocolate for the whole day?
18 months ago, at 55 pounds, Isabel collapsed into a coma. And she finally understood the truth about anorexia, that it is a serious mental illness that kills more than 10% of sufferers. She decided she wanted to live and accepted help. She now weighs 66 pounds.
I know it'll take time, but I would rather go slowly and surely rather than gain weight rapidly and then fall back into losing it again. I have to get used to how I look with more weight.
To walk with Isabel on the street is to begin to understand how others react to her, their shocked looks, even the stares. She's been accused of being a heroin addict.
I have suffered enormously from the way people look at me. When I first moved to Marseille, nobody spoke to me. People stared at me. I stopped going out of my house. In cafes and bars, they refused to serve me. And that's why I refused to talk about it for such a long time. I was so afraid of people judging me. People just think you just stop eating, but that is not what anorexia is. You don't just decide from one day to the next to stop eating. It's very hard. It's real suffering, and it goes deep.
But with intensive and continuing psychiatric help and good medical care, Isabel is making progress. She's beginning to have enough strength to set goals and think about the future.
I really want to have a child, and I hope my body will allow me to. My doctor says it's possible.
It is possible. C'était possible.
Yes, it's possible. I'm still not having periods. My body is too weak. But he says it is possible. I'm with somebody now. I don't want to say very much because it's a bit complicated. At the moment, it's more an affair of the heart than a physical relationship. Because simply, I'm still very thin, and it's still very difficult to enjoy normal physical relations with such a tiny body and a man who is a normal size. I'm still nervous about having sex.
What do you see in your future?
First of all, to be able to live. So I am trying to get better and to show that you can get better. You can get better by fighting and believing, and by living your passion. And the theater is my passion, and I hope to be able to realize my dream to continue with that passion.
Isabelle has had some good news. The top-ranked drama school in France where she studied has agreed that she can return to class to live her passion.